The morning sun streamed through the tall glass windows of the towering corporate headquarters, painting golden reflections across the polished marble floors. Inside the bustling lobby, employees hurried past each other with laptops, folders, and cups of coffee in their hands, each person racing against the clock to start another busy workday. Among them was Emily Carter, a sharp, ambitious project manager known throughout the company for her discipline and leadership. At just 28 years old, Emily had already earned a reputation as someone who tolerated no nonsense. Her heels clicked confidently against the marble as she walked briskly toward the elevator, reviewing the morning's meeting schedule on her tablet. Suddenly, as she turned a corner, someone accidentally bumped into her shoulder. A stack of papers slipped from her hands and scattered across the floor like white feathers. "Oh great," Emily sighed in frustration as she knelt down to gather the documents. The man who had collided with her quickly crouched down as well, helping collect the papers. He looked to be around her age, wearing a simple white shirt, dark trousers, and carrying a brown messenger bag. His calm expression contrasted with Emily's irritation. "I'm really sorry," he said politely, handing her one of the sheets. Emily glanced at him quickly, assuming he must be new. She had seen dozens of interns arrive this month, and this man certainly looked like one of them. "You must be the new intern everyone was talking about," she said casually while organizing the papers. "First day." The man paused for a brief moment, then gave a small smile. "You could say that." Emily stood up and dusted off her skirt. "Well, if you're going to survive here, you'll need to move faster than that," she said bluntly. "This company runs on efficiency." The man nodded politely, not correcting her assumption. "Follow me," Emily said, already walking toward the elevator. "I'll show you the orientation office." Inside the elevator, Emily pressed the button for the executive floor. She glanced at the man standing beside her and continued speaking in a confident tone. "Listen carefully. This company is extremely competitive. Interns who don't perform well usually disappear within a few weeks." "I see," the man replied calmly. "And one more thing," Emily added, folding her arms slightly. "Don't interrupt meetings unless someone asks you to speak. Some interns try too hard to impress people." The man smiled faintly again, clearly amused. "I'll remember that." When the elevator doors opened, Emily stepped out and led him through a hallway filled with glass offices and busy employees typing at their desks. She walked with the authority of someone who belonged there. "By the way," she said, "I'm Emily Carter, Senior Project Manager." "Nice to meet you, Emily," the man replied. "I'm Daniel." She didn't bother asking for his last name. As they approached a conference room, Emily stopped. "You can wait here until HR arrives," she said. But just before she walked away, Daniel spoke again. "Thank you for helping me this morning." Emily shrugged casually. "Just try not to drop papers next time." She turned and disappeared down the hallway. Daniel watched her walk away with a thoughtful expression. What Emily didn't know was that Daniel wasn't an intern at all. In fact, Daniel was the company's newly appointed CEO. He had arrived early that morning, choosing to enter the building quietly without the usual executive announcement. Daniel had always believed that the best way to understand a company was to observe how people behaved when they didn't know who he was. And Emily Carter had just given him a very interesting first impression. Later that morning, employees began gathering inside the largest conference room in the building. The room buzzed with curiosity because everyone had heard rumors that the new CEO would finally be introduced today. Emily sat confidently near the front of the room with several department managers. "I wonder what he's like," one of her colleagues whispered. "Hopefully someone who values hard work," Emily replied. The room gradually filled with employees until the HR director stepped to the front. "Good morning everyone," she announced. "Today we are excited to introduce the new CEO who will be leading this company into its next chapter." Emily leaned back slightly in her chair, curious but calm. Then the door opened. And the man who walked in made Emily's heart nearly stop. It was Daniel. The same intern she had just lectured an hour earlier. He stepped confidently to the front of the room, greeted the executives, and shook hands with the board members. The entire room fell silent. Emily felt the color drain from her face. The HR director smiled proudly. "Everyone, please welcome our new CEO, Daniel Reynolds." A wave of applause filled the room, but Emily barely heard it. Her mind replayed every word she had said to him earlier. Move faster. Don't interrupt meetings. Try not to drop papers. Daniel's eyes scanned the room calmly until they landed on Emily. For a brief moment, their gazes met. And to Emily's surprise, he smiled. Not a mocking smile, but a knowing one. Emily felt her heart pounding as she realized the unbelievable truth. She had mistaken the CEO for an intern, and he had allowed her to believe it. But what happened next would change Emily's career, and her life, forever. Daniel stepped forward to begin his speech. I believe the true character of a company, he said confidently, is revealed not in boardrooms, but in everyday moments. His eyes flickered toward Emily again. And sometimes, he added calmly, first impressions can be the most interesting ones. The room listened closely. But Emily sat frozen in her chair, wondering what would happen when the meeting ended. Would he confront her? Would she lose her job? Or had Daniel Reynolds already decided something far more unexpected? Before the story continues, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because the next chapter reveals a shocking twist in Emily and Daniel's story, one that proves how a single misunderstanding can completely change two lives.